Alright guys, we're looking at the Bitcoin chart here. I thought I'd give out a quick update going into the week. First things first, on the last video I had laid out an intraday trading setup that played out beautifully to perfection. It literally came right after the video was put out there, about an hour later. So we were, I think it was Tuesday, yeah, it was right here. We were within this range. It was Wednesday. And we had a set of equal highs and we had a set of equal lows. Now usually what happens is when you have a range form and you've got equal highs and equal lows, you often get a fake out, right? A liquidity grab in one direction before price pushes in the other direction. The example that I gave, Exhibit A, was right here, right? Which happened last weekend. You see how price pushed up and created this range over here. And we swept it. And again, we had those equal lows, we had those equal highs. Price pushed up, took out those highs, and then immediately got rejected and went the other direction, right? And so it was literally a repeat of that price action over here when I was making the video. And so I think price was somewhere here. And I had mentioned that as we were breaking these highs, I was looking to see if we would get some weakness. I wanted it to go into this level. I highlighted this level, the last two up close candles before that final leg lower. So this was a supply zone I was looking at. Now, when you have a supply zone or a demand zone, obviously a demand zone would have been one that's sitting right below these levels. But when you have a key level like that, that's sitting right above or below liquidity, you often get a fake out and then a tap into that level before the rejection. So when we broke up above this, we went into that supply zone. We got that rejection. I entered around 69.1. So I entered off the 15-minute time frame. I'm around 69,000 to 69,100. I got to take two take profits here. My final take profit was down here. Unfortunately, I moved my stops to break even, so I got stopped out on that way. Doesn't really matter to me. It was a green trade. So, it is what it is. And you've seen, let's just take a look at the trading conditions, though. All the way here since I'd say late May, we've had shitty trading conditions. Excuse my language, but, this is horrible for you can't trade anything. That you've got a bunch of ranges, there's a lot of chop, prices just stopping out a bunch of traders, and this weekend has been even worse. Just look at that. That's been Friday into Saturday. It really wasn't anything great. Yeah, but let's go out to the higher time frame and just kind of mark out our key levels. So this fib that I have out there is just in case we do decide to break out and go to all-time highs. I put it out there in the previous video that if we broke out of this, in this range and we finally pushed to new all-time highs, 81,000 was going to be my next target. So that still stands. Nothing has changed, right? But I'm actually going to get rid of that fib now. Yeah. Okay, so this is what we have right now. Now there's really nothing new going on in the weekly time frame. We're still within this range. Right now, $67,000 is the key support for me. That's the point of control of this range. I haven't marked it out right now, but you'll see it in a moment. But on the weekly time frame, that candle, especially like the top half of it, so the $64,000 to $65,000 level, that is my key weekly level right now. I do not want to see it lost. I have a feeling it's going to be tapped. We're very likely going to take out those lows from the 20th of May. Right. Well, that week's lows. What was it at? 66,000. Yeah, I'm pretty certain we're going to take out those lows, maybe tap this red box, and if we're bullish, then we're likely going to get a bounce, right? So ideally, we're going to see something like this. You could also look at this as a descending channel, right? You could say we got this right here. I'm not really, the best at drawing these. You could draw it down here with that, or you could draw it here. I kind of like this one since this one's been respected quite a lot. But yeah, so that's going to come in confluence with the midpoint of this channel. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got a wick in this coming week down into this zone right here, that $65,000 level, before a bounce. Right now, I did mention that I am overall bullish, just because I'm going to get rid of this. I am overall bullish just because we swept the range lows on this week's candles, and then we reclaimed that low, and we've been pushing up since. So ideally, I want to see price push higher, right? Let me just mark this one out again. So this is, yeah, so that's just a level that I'm watching, right? Those lows. Now, if I go down to the daily, I've been using the fixed range volume profile, right? For as long as this range has actually been trading. And right here, that's the point of control, right? The $66,900, $67,000 level. Yeah, as long as I mean, I don't want to see daily closes below this. If I see price go down here, right, like I think will happen, I want to see one of those reactions where it's immediately bought up, just because all the daily closures should be above the point of control, right? That's the scenario that I want. Yeah, so that level is what I'm watching. The resistance is going to be 69. Well, actually, interesting. I did not notice this until just now. So the Valley area high has now shifted. So it was at about 69.4 up until last week. It is now at 71.1. So the volume profile constantly updates because it's taking new candle and new data into account to come up with the new levels, right? So it's one of those things where you have to constantly check it. Usually not on a hour to hour or anything like that, but if you got a range, something like this, you want to check it every 3-4 days, right? Just to update your levels, make sure that you're up to date, because they might have shifted, and in this case it did. It went from 69.4 to 71,000. So once we break out, I mean this kind of looks like a triangle pattern as well. You notice how price is trading in a smaller and smaller range. When that happens, a big breakout is usually coming. So ideally, what I want to see is this, right? I want to see price, maybe do something like that, and then immediately bounce, right? And then go up to the top of the range again. So this is, I'm going to be looking for long positions once this happens. It's going to be a swing long because I think if it happens and we push up, chances are we're going to go for new all-time highs given the manipulation that already took place down here, right? I don't see the need for price to go back down here unless market makers want to keep it in this range for longer as they continue to accumulate Bitcoin. But for me, with that manipulation already having taken place, this is probably what I would want to see, right? The low, I do not want to see price go lower than that 64.5, yeah? So this level-ish is probably, so I want to see the sweep of those lows from May 20th into this weekly candle and inside of this potential daily gap over here, right? It's a daily fair value gap. So you see how things are falling inside of each other as you go to the smaller time frame. That's how you find your special levels, right? You start with a higher time frame, and then you find smaller time frames with smaller time frame levels that are within those higher time frame levels that you have marked out. So this is that level for me that I want to see price come down to, bounce. I'm going to look for longs here. First target, assuming we don't close below. And when I say close, I mean 4-hour, daily 4-hour, maybe, but daily, I definitely don't want to see closing below $67,000, right? So next target would be 71,000, and then range highs 72,000, and then potentially new all-time highs. Yeah, so let's see what we get.